The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Morning Market Kickoff with your host, Tommy O'Brien. Now, Tommy O'Brien.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Tommy O'Brien, coming to you live from TFNN, 8:30 a.m. on Tuesday, 60 minutes to go until the opening bell. And we got markets in positive territory except the NASDAQ. NQ futures right now negative by 8 points. Watch out. We don't get to say that often. Down 9 points, trading at 11,627. The NASDAQ. S&P's up 14 points, trading at 3441. Got the Dow up 177 points, 28,417. Quite a shuffle in the Dow last night as Exxon is out. Exxon was the largest company by market capitalization as recent in the world, that is, as recent as 2014, and just like that, 6 years later, they're out of the Dow. They are replaced by Salesforce, CRM. We'll jump over to that story in a moment. Quite an interesting take as the Dow ditches some of the old horses, the old guards, for some stocks. A lot of that change spurred on by the Apple split, 4-for-1. We'll get into it all, but nonetheless, Dow positive this morning. Gold contract negative by $8 right now, $19.31. Silver negative 4 cents at $26.56. Notes and bonds this morning, a little bit of negative price and higher yield. The 10-year negative 12 ticks at 139.04. You got the 30-year negative a full point and 15 ticks at 177.31. We got some earnings this morning. We got some action. We'll start it off and jump over to the VIX. Volatility index 2213, just kind of hanging out right now. All right, let's get right into it. So, Salesforce, Amgen, and Honeywell are added to the Dow in a quote-unquote major shakeup for the averages. Salesforce is going to replace Exxon, Amgen is going to replace Pfizer, and Honeywell International going to be replacing Raytheon Technologies. Pretty interesting when you get into things, right? In terms of, we always talk about it. I was talking to people last night, just kind of explaining what happened. And in the course of explaining what happened, you have to say how crazy it is that the Dow is a price-weighted index. I joke that if I'm a teacher and I ask students to create an index and tell me how it's going to work, and some student comes in and they say, we're just going to use the price of their stock, regardless of the market capitalization, to determine how the index moves. I would say, why the heck would you ever use the price of a stock when pretty much an arbitrary price point, because their price could be anything, right? You could have $1,000 stock, and meanwhile you only have 5 shares in the company, and the company's worth $5,000. You have a dollar stock, and there's 1 billion shares outstanding. That dollar stock is $1 billion market capitalization. But guess what? The $1,000 stock is going to have 1,000 times the influence of the dollar stock. Well, that's kind of how it happened here, because you had Apple going to be splitting 4-for-1. That's going to bring the price of Apple down to about $125. And the Dow, the people who run the Dow, they were not happy that Apple's influence was going to shrink when Apple is a $2 trillion company, and they are going to be, the influence it's going to have on the Dow is going to be cut by basically 75%, right? It's going to be cut 4-for-1. So as a result, they wanted to add a little bit more technology into the index. As a result, you get Salesforce, Amgen, and Honeywell joining the ranks. Started off, how about Salesforce climbing to about 218 on that news, pulling back a bit. We're still up about $5. Now, what's interesting is they have their earnings this week as well, so a lot going on Salesforce. You see the drop-off on ExxonMobil coming down from about 42.25 to 41.25. We're down at about 41.43. Amgen Technologies, Amgen Inc., I should say, up to 249 from 236. We're trading at about 245 right now. Lots of action in the Dow. There's going to be a lot of articles written about that as they kind of push to that technology sector. But it always makes me laugh. The Dow, just remarkable, a price-weighted index, just makes 0 sense to me. Nonetheless, Salesforce, good day to be a Salesforce owner and an Amgen owner or a Honeywell owner, as they are in the index, and I believe that's a record in about a week that they start getting in there. All right, what else we got going on? Best Buy out with their numbers this morning, strong numbers. but the market kind of wary of where they are in the future. So online sales surging 242% in the second quarter, quote unquote, shares slide as gains may be short-lived. So to get into the numbers here, online sales 242%. Same-store sales, open at least a year, grew by 5.8%. Market was only looking for 2.3%. Earnings per share, $1.71 for Best Buy, $1.08 was expected. They beat on revenue. We talked about the same-store sales numbers. But what they get into here is that third quarter sales are not to be, they so far have about 20% growth so far in the third quarter. But what's going to happen is they said they do not anticipate that to continue for the rest of the quarter. I wrote about it in my newsletter, Rocket Equities and Options. We actually had a trade in there for Best Buy yesterday. If you want to check it out, right under the newsletters tab, 30-day money-back guarantee. Check it out, folks. Pretty interesting action nonetheless. We'll jump over to Best Buy shares. There you see the action. The conference call starting at 8 a.m., is it? Yeah, 8 a.m. this morning. So you spiked to 120 real quickly, probably on the beat on the top in line number. You spiked to 120. Then the market says, hold on a second. It's not as good as we thought. And you dive to about 110. And let me see if I can find that news I was looking at, because it is interesting when you get, so they declared a dividend as well. Yeah, that's not the one I'm looking for. We'll pull it up at the break, but they talked about that they do not anticipate the third quarter to continue. Here we go. Here's the quote I wanted. Third quarter sales likely won't continue at current quarter-to-date level of about 20% growth and no guidance going forward. Not what you want to hear. If you are an owner, that they say things were great in the past, but they're not going to continue to be so great, and we're not even going to give you any guidance for where we think they might be in the future. Best Buy shares react to that news. We're down about $4 right now, pre-market on Best Buy at $113.85 this morning. What else we got going on? The airlines, Delta, they're going to be furloughing almost an additional 2,000 pilots, folks. Quite a number. 2,000 pilots applied for early retirement, but the airline said it wasn't enough to offset the lower staffing needs. It's preparing to furlough 1,941 pilots in October. The airline said it could reduce or avoid furloughs if it can reach cost-cutting agreements with the union. Some of the airline stocks, strong days yesterday, right? Continuing that trend. Market likes the fact that we're trimming some of the fat there in the airlines because they got to get it done, folks. The world is a different place than what it was 5 years ago. Business travel, international, even domestic recreational travel, not the same that it was previously, and it's going to take a little while for that to continue anywhere near where we were pre-pandemic levels. But American, look at that chart, from 1240 to 1378 this morning. United Airlines trading higher as well. Quite the acceleration for all these airlines yesterday from 33.50. You're up at about 36.74. Checking in on some of the FANG stocks as we wrap up this first segment of the program. Apple shares, speak of the devil, $500 on the dot. So they're going to be trading at $125 for their split adjusted price. Microsoft shares from $213.69 off a bit this morning. You see the NQ futures down about 16 points right now. S&P's up about 13. The Dow up 167. Checking in on that gold contract. The lows of last week, 1916. We're trading at about 1931 right now as we await that market open. Stay tuned, folks. We come back from the break, see what else we have on tap for Tuesday trading. I'll be right back in 3 minutes.
Many of our new listeners have heard about The Tiger's Den. The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of the TFNN shows, plus see all of the charts as they happen live and have access to archives of all of those charts. You can test drive The Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days and greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets and how to make your money work for you. Details on The Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com.
TFNN has launched our brand new website. You can still visit us at the same TFNN.com URL, but when you do, you'll see a new and improved homepage with a much simpler navigation, whether you're watching Tiger TV live in high definition or just accessing your newsletter subscriptions. We even have new pricing in 6 months and yearly options. Check out the new TFNN.com now and experience all the upgrades. TFNN.com, educating investors.
The gold market has taken off topside in a large way in 2020. If you want to take advantage of this sector, now is the time to subscribe to my gold report. The Gold Report took profits in 4 of its equities in the gold portfolio in the first week of January for a combined profit of 99.2%, with 2 positions left in the portfolio that have a profit of 67.5% as of January 7th. The Gold Report is a comprehensive look at the metals sector as well as the markets that move gold, which is the currency and bond markets. New subscribers get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Every Monday morning, I publish the Gold Report with coverage of gold, silver, bonds, the XAU, HUI, GDX, as well as more than 30 different mining equities. To see for yourself the types of profitable trades that are recommended within the Gold Report, sign up now by visiting TFNN.com. Don't miss out on the next great gold trade. Sign up today.
Are China A-shares hot or not? If you trade China A-shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A-share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A-shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
Welcome back, folks. S&P's hanging up about 13 points right now, 34.40. NQ futures negative by 17. Dow futures positive by 166. Getting into some other stories on the radar this morning, I was checking out a pretty interesting article talking about Powell. So he is set to speak Thursday in a virtual version of the Fed's annual Jackson Hole, Wyoming conference. He's expected to outline what could be the most active efforts to spur inflation back to a healthy level. Average inflation, quote unquote, targeting means the Fed will allow inflation to run higher than normal for a period of time. The effort will be a reverse of the former Fed Chairman Paul Volcker's rate hike instituted to squash inflation in the 80s. So this will be Thursday. Powell, he's been in there since 2018, likely to detail a set of measures aimed at pushing inflation higher amid the pandemic that has dragged the U.S. economy into one of its darkest hours. While the average consumer might find it absurd to want to raise the cost of living, central bankers and economists see too little inflation also a problem. The Fed out there, the market will be looking at what he is talking about come Thursday. Other news out there, these storms, these hurricanes hitting the Gulf. You got Laura, could turn and hit the Gulf Coast as a hurricane this week. So now it looks to be maybe a Category 3 as it will roll in maybe on Wednesday. Keep your eye on that, folks, whether it's oil, whether it's just the market. So a warning that Tropical Storm Laura could rapidly intensify, one of the most powerful hurricanes to ever hit the region. Residents, they're being urged to prepare before landfall in Texas and Louisiana, expected in the next couple days. Laura comes on the heels of Tropical Storm Marco, which weakened sooner than expected, made landfall Monday in Louisiana. My dad and myself, for those not aware, we were actually in New Orleans for Hurricane Katrina. We were there for an opening of one of our sponsors at the time. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Man, shame on me. They were an exploration, Odyssey Marine Exploration. There it is, Odyssey Marine. They were basically treasure hunters, found a shipwrecked ship with tons of treasure in it, gold, all this stuff. They decided to open an exhibit in New Orleans, housing all of the goods that they found during that shipwrecked treasure, turned it into a public company. Nonetheless, their opening weekend for that exhibit, it's not really an exhibit, they had a place, was the weekend of Hurricane Katrina. Now, I was already living in Florida at the time, And these storms, I remember it passed Florida, and Katrina was basically nothing. Went over Florida. When they hit the Gulf, as we all know, the Gulf, very warm, just explodes. So we were kind of caught off guard. You couldn't get out of there. Rental cars were booked. Flights were canceled. Tom, my dad, and I, we figured, hey, worst case, we'll hang out in New Orleans for a couple extra days, maybe jump over to Harris, play a little bit of poker for a couple days. The casinos never closed, you thought. Well, they closed, folks, and everything else closed, and we were very, very fortunate to be in a huge Hilton at the time, as opposed to many of the French Quarter hotels had to close, people on the streets. It's a very, very dire situation, especially in New Orleans. Hopefully this doesn't do that type of damage anywhere where it ends up, but keep your eye on that, especially when you talk about some of the commodities, oil in the Gulf, etc. All right, what else we got going on? Jumping into some of the stocks with earnings this morning. Hormel, they're out with their numbers. 37 cents a share, 3 cents above estimates. Revenue slightly above forecast as well. Said the retail business was strong, but that its food service business still recovering. It makes sense, right? I have a friend that works for Campbell's Soup. And I said, man, things must be good, right? People stocking up on canned goods, et cetera. What I didn't realize is this friend in particular, he's in the sales business for restaurants or for hotels, for the likes of that. So a lot of these companies, you're dealing with two different scenarios where, yeah, the grocery stores might be doing well. Now, this stock, we're going to open a bit lower, 52.05 to 52.40. We closed yesterday at 52.64. So many different variables come into things when you're talking about that type of scenario where you're not only providing food to grocery stores or to consumers directly, but when you start talking about food service, where you're also providing to restaurants, hotels, conventions, the likes. Tough scenario. Medtronics out with their numbers, 62 cents a share. Well above the 18-cent estimate. Revenue came in above forecast. Profit below a year ago levels, not surprising. Medtronic said it's now seeing an increase in elective procedures that had slowed due to the pandemic. I mean, the curve definitely dropping down. Hopefully it continues. Medtronics, there you see the spike from 100 to about 103.50 on their numbers this morning. Best Buy we covered. J.M. Smucker out with their numbers. Quarterly earnings, $2.37 a share. The market was only looking for $1.67. Not bad. Revenue also above estimates. Raising the full-year forecast with strong demand for products like Uncrustable sandwiches and Folgers coffee. I actually have both of those in my fridge, which is why I paused. SJM, not in my fridge. Coffee, you know what? I don't have Folgers coffee, but I do have coffee. I got a glass of coffee right here. Smuckers up from 113 to 118 on strong numbers this morning. Now, here's where it gets interesting, right? A company like Best Buy, they have no guidance whatsoever. Meanwhile, you got J.M. Smucker raising its full-year profit forecast. Be very wary at this time, right? Now, when the pandemic first hit, Tom and I, myself, we always talked about, you'd almost be a fool to be an executive at this time and not pull your guidance when it was in March, April, even May. At this point in the game, if you are a strong company seeing strong sales, you should be able to provide a little bit of guidance coming into September as the world has kind of taken shape, and you might be able to make some estimates. And when you hear a company like Best Buy say, we're not going to continue the strong start we had to the quarter, and we're not even going to pretend to figure out what kind of guidance we have going forward. That's why you got Best Buy trading lower. That's why you got J.M. Smuckers trading higher. All right, we talked about the Dow shakeup. Palo Alto Networks, they're out with their numbers. Profit of $1.48 a share, beaten the consensus estimate by 9 cents. The company's revenue also came in above forecast. They issued an upbeat forecast. As the pandemic increased, remote working increases demand for security products. PANW is their symbol. Palo Alto, though, from 277 on the initial number. You had the conference call last night. We're sitting at about 258.50 on their numbers so far this morning. I'm going to check back to Best Buy. Yeah, they're hanging out at about 114 after a little bit of volatility on their numbers. So Apple, their battle with Epic Games marches on. So they had a ruling yesterday from a judge. Apple was prevented by a judge's ruling from shutting down Epic Games' tool used to run offerings from hundreds of app makers. So there's two different things at play here, right? You have the Fortnite game, which now the judge said it's basically up in the air. This isn't a slam dunk for either party, okay? But they said that when it comes to their offering that has to do with making apps. Basically, it was a retaliation. There's two things at play. Nonetheless, that Fortnite game might not be back in there. Apple definitely might have a case, but it's not a slam dunk on either scenario, is what the judge said for Fortnite. So we'll see how that marches on. AstraZeneca, we got that article actually up, I believe. There we go. Starts the trial of the coronavirus antibody treatment. So they've begun testing of the antibody-based cocktail for prevention and treatment of COVID-19. AstraZeneca, let's see how they say. I think it's AZN. Is that them? AstraZeneca? Maybe not. Astro. Let's see. Where are we? Come on. All right, we'll find their symbol. Shame on me. Where are we at? Where are we at? Come on. Whoa, what's their symbol? Come on, computer. AZN, I thought so. We're up a bit this morning. Stay tuned, folks. We come right back after the break.
Back in the day, I joined Hotel California in 2006, and like many of you, was drawn in by, as well as,
whatever you think about, you bring about. Whatever you focus on grows.
You see, I believe that everything in life happens for us, not to us, and Tom ignited the fire within me to want to learn how to master the markets. So how did I go from knowing nothing about technical analysis to becoming the #1 market timer for the S&P 500 in 2018 and the #2 market timer in 2019? Simply put, I hired coaches with a proven track record, which led me to a whole new set of tools that I created to interpret the message of buyers and sellers. I would love the opportunity to teach you this award-winning set of tools and to help you improve your market timing. You can test drive my newsletter service, Mastering Probabilities, for the next 30 days with no risk to you. Plus, you'll gain access to archive workshops that'll take you step-by-step through my system. Sign up today by going to the homepage of TFNN.com and selecting Mastering Probability in the newsletter tab.
If you haven't checked out the newsletters page of TFNN.com, what are you waiting for? All of the TFNN newsletters are informative, up-to-date, affordable, and a must-have for every trader looking to gain a competitive informational edge in today's markets. TFNN newsletters cover every aspect of the markets to offer you the very latest in market news. Plus, new subscribers get to test drive our newsletters risk-free for 30 days. From all aspects of the markets, including stocks, bonds, metals, commodities, and tech, there's a newsletter to fit your needs exclusively from TFNN. Stay informed each day you trade and get that competitive edge that will help you stay ahead of the game. Visit our newsletters page by going to TFNN.com and click the newsletters button near the top of the page. TFNN.com, educating investors.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
Welcome back, folks. S&P's right now hanging it positive by about 12. Markets slipping a little bit from where we began the show. NASDAQ futures negative 21. Dow positive by 155. Checking in on some of the favorites out there. Tesla shares off a bit from 2014 to about 1980 this morning. We checked on Apple right at $500, $499.90. Zoom shares, not sure if you saw it yesterday. Zoom platform down yesterday. Pretty interesting. I actually had a Zoom conference myself scheduled for about 12:30 yesterday afternoon, and the market was able The platform was back up. We were able to do that, but pretty interesting when you think about how many companies operate on this platform right now. I had one of my friends who runs a big credit card processing platform. They had just shifted over from another company to Zoom for all their business needs. Boom. The system crashes that morning. You go from 295 to 275. Things seem to be repaired on Zoom. We're up. No, we're actually down even from yesterday at 279.75. Another story I caught that was kind of interesting. Amazon. They're going to be setting up a luxury brand platform. According to Women's Wear Daily, Amazon will give luxury brands full control of their virtual stores while letting them utilize the delivery and customer service platform. Amazon just marches on. They are a delivery powerhouse. You were at $33.80 yesterday. The whole market sold off at the beginning of the day from $33.80 to $32.60. We're basically off a bit to $32.96 this morning. And what else we got going on, folks? You know who's next. Our man, Mr. Larry Pesavento. And 24 hours from right now, Larry's going to be in there for a live trading webinar. 5 hours, folks, 9 a.m. till 2 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. He'll be in there. You can gain access to that by signing up on the front page of TFNN.com. He's going to be talking about everything Larry goes through. You're going to be looking over his shoulder as he trades the market, what he's looking at, the systems he uses, the formations, the charting patterns, the risk rewards, the tools, everything he's talking about. When you sign up, you gain access to a month of his Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter. That is a $97 value, so you're locking it in for about $200. That will be archived if you can't attend all 5 hours. Check it out on the front page at TFNN.com. Stay tuned, folks. Larry Pesavento, he's coming up next. We'll be right back.